Hey guys, this is Light, and this is going to be my review for the new Byblis. If you haven't seen my RTA showcase for her, you should check it out. It is an hour-long banger. But anyway, let's get into it. So let's look at her skills real quick. So we're S1, defense break with a soul burn, dual attack with highest ally. Very, very good S1. Very, very nice for cleaning up the enemy. And then we have this is insane. It didn't really hit me how much HP she actually gives. It's like imagine like Renek presses S2, S3. Your team will have 10% more max HP. Like Renek presses S2, S3, your 30k unit now has 33k HP. And they also have this reflect, and this reflect is very, very important. And so free Ren, right? Free Ren is an extremely dominant unit, and she's resistant to most kinds of damage, right? But this reflect, it basically makes Free Ren like kaboom herself whenever she does anything, and like that's very, very valuable. So Byblis is a hard counter to free run basically, and that's very, very nice right now, especially if you're a newer player, because and even if you're an older player, free run is still a complete menace. So yeah, her S2 really, really strong, and this passive is also crazy. She has like a if your team takes too much damage, she procs like a giant heal and barrier and a cleanse, which is really, really good. Only downside though, which makes her, not absolutely busted, is that she can't proc this when she's debilitated. So like when she's stunned, when she's sleeping, when she's feared, she can't proc this. And that's basically her only counterplay. So yeah, very, very, very crazy S2. And that means like she's really, really good against aggressive drafts, or any drafts that have like a lot of big upfront damage like Tori and Free Ren. She's really good against these units because like they'll easily proc her, and they'll also die to her reflect, which is really, really good. So this makes Byblis very anti-aggro, which is great because speed and aggro very, very dominant right now. So Byblis helps quite a bit against that. And then her S3, I thought this was underwhelming at first, but then I looked into it a bit more, right? So she applies she applies two venoms for 2 turns. That is 40% HP. Venom does 10%, right? But she also detonates it. So that's 4 Venom stacks getting instantly detonated, which means she does 40% of your max HP as injury unless she gets 15%, which is crazy. And she also has free effectiveness, which means that you don't have to build too much effectiveness on her, and you'll be able to put her stats into like a lot of HP instead, which is really, really good. And on top of that, she has a redirected provoke that stops the other person from like playing the game, and that's really, really good. The only downside, however, is that this does not strip, which means if you want to play Byblis like really aggressively, you have to play her with a stripper, or if you're a slower player, you want to build Byblis really slow and really tanky, such that the other person will take their turn, and then they're gonna lose their immunities, and then you just rip this and you pop them, and it does a lot of damage. Like I've like completely wiped people with just a Byblis into a free run S3, and it's really, really good. And for her build, I think her artifact is the best in slot for her. It gives her CR push. It auto cleanses her. The really nice thing about this artifact is that like it has it's it'll cleanse a debuff, right? So for example, if you get feared by Sigrid and then 2 units go, like she'll cleanse the fear, right, automatically from her artifact, and then like she'll push up to have more agency to press her S3, which is really, really good. I don't think there's really any other artifact for her. Only downside is that if you don't have this max, you have a chance to not be cleansed, which is really bad. And I also think Byblis has potential to be decent against DN because Byblis will cleanse the first debuff on the left, right? Which means that she can cleanse DN seal if your team isn't dead, and continue to like apply her buff. So yeah, Byblis is very strong. Her role is honestly, I feel like her role is just like making sure your team doesn't die, similar to Ruel and Yuha, but like she'll also do damage and she also protect you quite a bit. And as for her build, I would recommend being on the slower side because again, you want the enemy to go first and then you take a turn and debuff them. And also effectiveness is really good. I'm not sure how practical it is, but for the latter, it might be worth going 100 effectiveness, such that this S3 will give you 200, and then you'll be able to debuff most things, even if it's ER Frenzy. But if you don't care too much about that, I mean like 50 is fine, so you can have 100. I'm not really sure on my build yet, but also being tanky is probably really good. And as for her set, I personally like protection set because she doesn't even need that much speed, right? She wants a lot of HP, and I feel like protection sets naturally have a lot of HP because like you don't really keep them unless they do. But I'm sure you can go like some weird triple set if you want. I've seen like immunity hit sets for fun. But basically you do want to be on the slower side, and you do want effectiveness and a lot of HP so like you can survive and debuff people and stuff. And I know there is some people have asked me like why don't I build ER to make sure she doesn't get, to make sure like she can proc her passive. I don't think it's necessary because if you think about it, Byblis's #1 counter will be getting sealed, and you know, that's probably by Luna or Diane who have ignore ER. Or she's gonna get feared by Sigrid, who can easily have like 250 effectiveness. So if you were to build 300 ER on this unit, I don't think you would have enough stats. And you would just die. But also, you know, she doesn't cleanse her team with her S3. So what if they just like, you know, what if they just control your team and then they just don't proc you, right? So I don't think there's any point building her ER. I think a build like this is perfectly fine. But yeah, really good unit. If you haven't pulled a bunch of her, I would recommend it. And also like team HP imprint is really good. But yeah, really nice unit. Would highly recommend it and pulling a bunch on her. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hopefully it was helpful. See you guys next time.